What do you think about this design? And how about this one? After 3 seconds, you have already choose your favorite one. That's based on what you have seen. But let me explain it first. This is Hoop Cycle, a mobile art installation that brings together humanities through basketball and cycling games. It even looks like a street vendor cart ride. Hoop Cycle was inspired by contemporary basketball and its ancient pre-Columbian ancestor. Back then, players didn't bounce the ball like today. Instead, they used parts of their body, knees, hips, and elbows to shoot the ball into a vertical rim. In addition, the artist Mari Samoran, at her experience, my memories of living in the public housing as an adult are growing up in the public housing. My memories are filled with the laughter and joy of communal play, something I hope Hoop Cycle helps communities recapture, free from stereotypes and exclusion. In addition, the architect Rafi Segal at suburbanization and disinvestment have fragmented our cities, contributing to a crisis of loneliness and loss of public gathering spaces. From this, we know that design always part of the history, experience, and there is the need to put the current communities. On the other hand, this is walking assembly. What if it told you to build a giant structure without cranes and heavy machines? These massive blocks are designed to walk into place. Inspired by ancient methods, they're perfectly balanced so humans can guide them with just a little push. No lifting, no sweating, just smart design and a bit teamwork. Walking assembly brings back old school building trick to help us think of smarter ways to move and build stuff in the future. Bricks are made to fit in one hand, and concrete blocks need two. Pedestrian buildings blocks aren't limited by what our hands can carry anymore. Designed by Metro Design, made by Brandon Clifford and Jonah Lotbell. After I tell you the story behind the design, I thought it would be change your choice or strengthen it. Actually, I have an experience to work in design teams, specifically in architecture. I've worked at 3 different architecture firms, and something that really comes to my mind is the story behind design important? To me, the answer is yes. The design without story is meaningless or nonsense. I feel the project mostly not form follow function, but form follow clients. I know that form follow function is not perfect, but I think this is something that very useful to start the form of the design, which design was probably based on preferences. When it's come to the client's preferences or my principal preferences without story behind it, and that's where this design stops. I cannot argue, I cannot build further conversation, and that's it, the end of the design. Steve Jobs once said, some people think design means how it looks, but of course, if you dig deeper, it's really how it works. The design of Mac wasn't just about appearance, although that played a part. More importantly, it was how it worked. To design something well, you need to understand it. You have to grow with the idea, understand its purpose. Based on what Steve Jobs words, the design is rooted in its function. It exists to serve people and it has purpose. Not only just because it is beautiful, but how it works. From this, we can conclude that design is problem solver. And this is a solution to every challenge or every difficulty that people face. Let me give you a simple example how architect works. Although I haven't become a licensed architect and I haven't deserved to be called as an architect, but I know the workflow. So let me tell you first. For example, there is a client comes to you and asks to build a house. So what architect should consider first? Of course, the function. The main purpose of the house is to rest or as a shelter or people to sleep. So the main function of the house is bathroom. We need space for sleep. People has metabolism. Sometimes they need to take a pee or take a bath. So we need another space such as shower or toilet or bathroom. And sometimes people want to eat and cook in the same place, in the same roof. So we need a kitchen or dining room. Are those points enough to build story of design? Let's reclassify those points into point A. Actually, people can do this without another input. We can use those points as story of the design. However, if we stop at this point, I don't think you should need architect. You can use a civil engineer or machine engineer or anyone who can imagine the space in the house. But this is different with the architect. The experienced architect would consider another input, such as how people who live in the house would feel comfortable. So the things that the architect consider is lighting, air circulation, human movement, and probably zoning areas such as public and private zone. These are essential part of the design process. From point A and point B, we know that design is not just about function, but also human-centered. So from those, we can tailor the story. It makes people feel something, and that's what makes the design meaningful. Are those points enough to tailor the story of the design? Of course, there's nothing wrong with those points, but naturally, human or designer will input their preferences or their standard into the design process. So it will just not from external data, but also from internal preferences. Even when the design generated by data or by AI which result 100 or millions of results, I think the people who's going to choose it would consider based on their preferences, based on their criteria. And the criteria, it could be from the external and it could be from their standard. From point A and point B, my design plan is not the only solution. It could be generated by other options, which is probably better. If the story based on solely multiple options, then designer unique input become what narrows it down. So here's what I think. A designer's story cannot be fully from the function or how it works. It can be influenced by human preferences and human standard. So I can classify those points such as point A and B as an external data, and this one is internal data, internal preferences from designer. And this creates a kind of loop from external data with internal preferences. From my experiences while I work in the architecture field, I think the larger scale of the project, the larger we can put an external data instead the internal. So when it comes to the smaller project, or we call it interior design or product design, the internal preferences proportion is bigger rather than external data. Let's look at the proportion. In the urban design, I believe the influence of external data is stronger, possibly 19% external and 10% internal. In architecture, it might be around 70% external and 30% internal. In interior design, where the client's style matters more, it could be 40% external and 60% internal. In product design, perhaps 30% external and 70% internal, since it's driven by the designer's creative directions. But of course, I cannot generalize. Every designer have their own thought process and design story. Even when we look at the MacBook, I don't think Steve Jobs designed purely based on function and performance. Surely, he adds his own preferences or his vision into the design of the Mac. Even in architecture, when it comes to the building facade or when it comes to the details, I believe the internal input outweighs than external. Take the ornamentation on classical buildings, for example. Why did architects add these details? Because they thought it was beautiful, and that's how design often starts, based on what we see. Although these elements might represent cultural values, their function is more about visual comfort. I'm not saying I don't like them or I hate them. But for me, beyond visual beauty, the beauty of how something works is matter. That's something that we can argue and discuss. But when someone says, I choose this because I like this and I don't like that, well, that's the end of the conversation. They need to give their reasons, they need to give their logical reasons, not just because their preferences or their standard. And I think that is the challenge of the design. To build a story, not only making the things beautiful. So, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below.